So my name is Matt Dickinson. I am a filmmaker and writer. I work for National Geographic TV and Discovery Channel and the BBC. And I'm also published by independent publishing houses with my books for young readers and adults as well. I've always been self-employed. I'm a freelance filmmaker and writer, so I've never worked for one organisation. In my lifetime I've worked for many, even possibly hundreds of different organisations and independent TV production companies and so on. And that to me has given my career a lot of variety. It's also meant that my career has not had a sort of, much dependability. For example, I'm only really dependent on my own ideas and my own efforts, so sometimes I've had some quite tough years. I've had years where I've hardly made any money because the projects haven't been working. So, you're only as good as your next project when you're freelance. You need to come up with ideas for books, come up with ideas for films, and if your ideas aren't connecting with the commissioning editors, then you won't get any business. So I've had some very tough years. I've also had some years where I've had too much work and it's all been really successful. So you never can tell. But a self-employed person, that's what you go through, because you can never be sure one month to the next where your next paycheck is coming from. If I'm working in the film world, would be working with a small unit of 2 or 3 other people, normally a camera operator or sound recordist, and we'll perhaps be interviewing a famous climber, or we'll be filming somebody climbing in the mountains, something like that. If I'm on a writing project, a typical day for me would be that I would be setting myself a target, and I'd be saying, right, I need to create 1,000 words today, and then I won't let myself have a cup of coffee or any breakfast until I've done 500 words, and then I won't let myself have any lunch until I've done 1,000 words. So I'd set myself a target and I stick with it. So Everest is obviously the highest mountain in the world. It's 8,848 meters high, and I've been on 3 expeditions to Everest, including once to the summit, which is a great privilege. And it is an amazing experience. So it's a lifelong ambition for me and for many other climbers to reach the top of the ultimate peak. It is a big expedition. It costs £50,000, so you have to raise a lot of sponsorship. And you go away from home for 10 weeks, so there's a lot of homesickness and you miss your kids. I've got 5 children. So all of those things are very important factors. So it's a big life challenge, I think. Not just the athletic challenge, it's also a mental challenge as well. I think I love the freedom of being a freelance person. I love the freedom of making my own decision. If I decide, hey, I'd really like to write a book, that's what I'm going to do. If I decide, well, I fancy doing some filmmaking now, I'll switch back onto the filmmaking. I like the variety of what I do. No 2 years in my career have been the same. I've worked with a lot of interesting, different people. And so I think what I like the most is the variety and the independence of the world that I've worked in. So the advice that I would give to a young person who's thinking about getting into television or filmmaking or writing as a career is to really get started as quickly as you can. You've got a great opportunity as a young filmmaker now to use mobile phones. This is something that my generation, we never had that technology. It wasn't really developed, but the technology has developed now. So with a mobile phone, you can actually make even a movie. Some people make movies on mobile phones. It's that good. So if you've got access to a smartphone, you can be a filmmaker. I think in terms of the writing and any type of media career, setting yourself up with a WordPress blog site, your name at wordpress.com, it's free of charge. That enables you to have something that you can present to the world. You can put your photos on there, you can put your little articles on there, you can enter short story competitions if you're interested in writing. And if you're interested in being a filmmaker, you could make a film about a big sports match at the school, interview the key goal scorers or something like that. You could do a little documentary about an issue locally, which I'm sure you'd find lots of issues in the local environment. If you look in the local newspaper, you'd find strong and emotional issues and little stories that you could make a little documentary, even a 5-minute film about those using a smartphone. In terms of young people climbing Mount Everest, the age of people going to Mount Everest does seem to be getting younger and younger. Like a 13-year-old girl has been to the summit and got back alive. A 13-year-old boy has done the same. So they are getting younger and younger. My advice would be take it step by step, stage by stage. So you'd start off with a little climbing club maybe, or get involved in scouts or guides, get involved in Duke of Edinburgh. Always go with a qualified, experienced leader who can keep you safe and has got the right equipment and the right knowledge to make it a safe experience. But given that commitment, you could go to the Peak District. from here very easily and do some mountain climbing in the Peak. You could even do some rock climbing in the Peak District with a suitably qualified instructor. You could go to the Lake District also quite easily from here, or even up to Scotland. So you're in a perfect position here in this town, really, to explore some amazing mountain environments. So you are very lucky.